I kind of want to start off with my overall impression. I actually started like getting invested into this show like in the beginning of just when season 3 came out because I was hanging out with a couple of friends at summer camp, and they were having conversations about Stranger Things season 3 airing like way back in 2019, and then my family and I like somehow we had the interest in like checking it out, so we like watched the first season, the first 2 seasons, and then like we ended up watching through season 3, like watching the first 3 seasons like in the summer of 2019. I was kind of late to the party, but like not as late. Like I still knew nothing about the show when some of my friends were talking about it at summer camp. But I just got a. You guys can't really see it, but like it's the Stranger Things season 5 like poster up there of the four main boys like driving no riding their bikes like with 11 on Mike's bike. But anyway, like I watched started watching the first 3 seasons way back in 2019, and I eventually like fell in love with the show. It might be like one of my favorite TV shows of the last 10 years, and obviously it is one of the greatest like TV shows of the 21st century. So I mean, it would make sense, but I could be biased because I haven't seen as many TV shows in the 21st century outside of like a bunch of Disney Channel shows that I grew up with back in the tens. But when it came to the season, I'll say this: what I liked was that it like added interesting new ideas, like while still feeling like a true continuation, like of the last season. Like it brought in some nice '80s influences, like which is what the show always does. Like you got a little bit of Wrinkle in Time in there, where like Holly, the Wheeler sister, like little sister Holly's tricked by like an evil spirit, like going into like this dream world. Like that's very much reminiscent of like Wrinkle in Time. I saw this the Wrinkle in Time movie back in the 2018 version. Like Charles Wallace is like manipulated into the dream space, like the like off world. Like yeah, it like I know a little bit of the Wrinkle in Time lore, so like I like how this show incorporated like some of that in here, and then you even get some like great new group dynamics. The Will and Robin stuff I think was a standout, and I think also like it was nice because the group finally they finally got to be all together in the same plot line. Like usually what's common in this show is that like our different like we would have like these different groups like for our main cast, like they're all linked together obviously, but like they're all doing like they're all like following in their separate storylines. Like sometimes the kids would be on their own certain subplot, or like and Hopper and Joyce would be over here, and like Nancy and Jonathan would be doing their thing. So much of the season it has like a bunch of these different like plot threads like going out all throughout it, where like all of our characters are like have like a different end goal or like a different objective. Obviously that was in season 4. This season we finally got to see them together, and like they're well, I mean they obviously we all also had like little different like moments where they like split up, obviously like Hopper and Eleven on their own adventure, like stuff like that, but like they all have the same objective. They all know about Vecna, and they're all working together to track down Vecna and kill Vecna. So they all have the same objective, and they're running throughout like they're running through the same storyline. It's not like one group is all the way out in Russia fighting Demogorgons, or like there's a group in California trying to find 11, or like stuff like that. Like they're all in Hawkins, like trying to find this one monster, this one guy, and they're working together to catch him. So it was like a lot of like some of that like I enjoy, like just like especially with how big, you forget how big the cast is when you see them all together. But it was fun like seeing them all in like one plot line and all working together to stop Vecna. Um, there were like some criticisms I felt like with this season. Like I think the relationship continuations, most of them were a little frustrating, especially the Dustin stuff. But also like the stakes in this one, they don't feel as high as they did in earlier seasons. Like season 4 like had such a huge epicness to it. Like it felt like Game of Thrones, or like the event. I phrased it like when it first came out as like being like the Avengers Infinity War of the series, because it's like um even though I like criticized, like I just talked about them being like in different locations, the groups being like spread out, but I kind of like that aspect of season four where it felt like a bunch of these like because all the storylines felt interesting. There was an epicness to like Hopper like fighting Demogorgons with Excalibur in Russia and like just and even the iconic you got the iconic elements like Max like being raised up in the air, like Steve, Dustin, and Lucas watching. Like there were a lot of like more epics, or even the shootout at the house like with the Wheelers and Mike like in California. Like there was like season four like just had a like little epic sense, epicness inside of it that I feel like there wasn't as much in this season. Like at least there was it had some epic moments inside of it. Like I obviously like there's the volume two stuff with like just the all the stuff going on with like Steve and like Nancy, Dustin, and Jonathan in the Upside Down, like trying to survive, or like Hopper and Eleven on a mission in the Upside Down. That's where you like look at some of it. Like now thinking about this, I don't know if there really was a lot of epicness in this, or I guess like Max and Holly like trying to make their way out of like Vecna's little hex mind world in the abyss. Like it had like some it had like some epic elements, but I mean like there's not as much like epicness as there as you get like from like the season four stuff, or even like the earlier seasons in like season one, or like just or even season three, like the battle at Starcore. We haven't seen much of that yet, but it feels weird like with being the final conclusion and like the way that they were selling it, that you wouldn't like it's like you kind of want more from these episodes, especially we have seven of these and we have like one episode left. Like I'm thinking like maybe they saved all the all the great stuff for like the final episode of the entire show, and then but I think it also it didn't bring in any like great iconic new elements, like I said earlier, like Max being lifted in the air in the cemetery in season four, iconic shot, iconic scene. um Nancy like in like the Nancy, Steve, and Robin in the attic, like against Vecna, when Nancy using like sawed-off shotguns and stuff like that. Like it hasn't we haven't gotten like any like it didn't feel like we got as many like interesting like iconic elements in the season like that, or at least like like interesting moments or like images like that stick out to you that I can talk about. Some little details in there like um I'll talk about this, like the Home Alone sequence in the middle. It's interesting. I mean, just watching Steve holding a chainsaw in his hand. There's like some interesting. There's some interesting shots like in the Home Alone sequence where like they're boomy trapping the house for the Demogorgon, to trap the Demogorgon, but not as not as there wasn't much in the season as that was as impactful as the earlier seasons. But I can go on rambling talking about all that. But like I'll get into some of the major character details. But like the characters in this one, like most of my favorite characters felt like a little like it felt like they nerfed them down and like kind of underutilized them. Like you don't get much from like some of my favorite characters. I feel like they ended up getting sidelined a couple times, like mostly throughout the season, like Eleven, Hopper, Steve, Joyce, Lucas. Like you don't really get a lot from some of these characters like that you have gotten from previous seasons that made them. And it feels like with most of them, like we lose some of the stuff that made them like that made them interesting characters in the first place. Like so, I mean, if just I could talk about like yeah some I'll get into like some of the specifics like in a second, but I mean I think we had to promote a couple of different characters like Holly or Will to front and center, or at least like give them a little bit more depth, just so, and in doing so like we kind of like had to like nerf some of our like original cast members to a point where like they just they just weren't able to take some of these guys in like very interesting places. But I can get into those in a sec. Overall, like I think this season was okay, but it feels like the most frustrating, like controversial of the seasons, because like it had so many like it had so many interesting elements, new influences inside of it that work. But it like misses like some of the iconic moments of the earlier seasons, as well as like it it undermines some characters in a way that I don't think works. So like it got some things right, but like I think it got some things wrong